Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Chad Howell. I'm the city's redevelopment administrator, and I work in the Office of Economic Development. This evening, I'm going to provide a brief presentation that will highlight the latest developments at the Thornton Shopping Center. So we're going to start with code compliance. Eight recent violations, as listed on the screen in front of you, were brought to the owner's attention. He has stated that the violations will be corrected by the end of October. In terms of eminent domain action items, they're similar to what you have seen in the past few weeks. Staff continues to move forward with activities related to filing eminent domain. Third-party actions such as testing and analysis, survey work, and the eminent domain appraisal are essentially complete. We don't have hard copies of these materials, but we expect them any day. Council and Thornton Development Authority actions that we foresee. Well, first of all, as you know, Council adopted the updated blighted conditions survey on September 14th. Our legal team is drafting an ordinance authorizing TDA to initiate eminent domain, as well as drafting a resolution for TDA once they have that authorization to actually use the eminent domain if we need to do that. We're working on additional council action for October 26th. It's just sort of a reaffirmation of council's desires when it comes to eminent domain. We'll be talking about that at the October 19th planning session. Some new things have happened on contamination cleanup status. You'll recall that this is the owner's responsibility right now, and it's overseen by the states, by the Colorado Public Health and Environment Department. The owner's offsite injections of treatment compounds are complete. They were also required to install new groundwater monitoring wells to kind of gauge the effectiveness of those treatments over time. All that's done. It was completed September 20th, and the report on these activities is due to the state by December 17th. Now, we believe that the owner and his consultant are drafting a corrective action plan amendment, but the funding to implement those activities has not yet been secured. As reported earlier this evening, city testing and surveying are complete with reports pending. But we've got a new diagram up there that kind of, the property is outlined in both blue and red. The red indicates the areas where the dry cleaning contamination is present, and the blue is not meant to imply that it's clean, but it doesn't have dry cleaning chemicals on it. Ongoing negotiations to broker an agreement between the city and the Thornton Shopping Center owner have failed thus far. We're still talking, but we haven't come to any agreement with those parties. So absent a voluntary transfer of the property, the other option for the city is to condemn either part of it or all of it. So you'll see on this map, the red and blue. Now that Wendy's has been sold, the total property is 15.86 acres. So the PCE impact area, that's where the dry cleaning chemicals are, is 6.19 acres, which is 39% of the property area. And then if you look at the blue, you see a lot of driveways and common areas that really aren't developable. So the red area is a little bit larger than we anticipated at first, but this is a map that you can take to the bank in terms of being able to distinguish the PCE contamination from the balance. This is important because given the current liability scenario, the city should not take title to the red area until cleanup has occurred, right? But the city is the only party with sufficient funding for the cleanup of the red area. So therein lies one of the most difficult aspects of this site, long-term liability for cleanup and other damages caused by the contamination, which, as you will remember, has migrated off-site towards the southeast into the area where we talked about the off-site injections having occurred. So staff is discussing liability relief with the state at more than one level, at my level and higher levels. It's including a request for assistance from our mayor to Governor Polis, which I think will be delivered tomorrow. It went out today by certified mail. Once that is delivered, we'll post it on the website so everybody can see it. So that's what's going on with negotiations. On the communications side, our communications department and I post relevant information on the city's Thornton Shopping Center webpage. You'll see there in yellow. Our shortcut is gocot.net/Thornton Shop CTR for the latest information. So in summary, staff continues to pursue code compliance and state mandated cleanup at the site to prepare for eminent domain and to negotiate a scenario where we can help transform the site without saddling Thornton taxpayers with unreasonable risk. So I thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, Sherry?
Could you go back to the map, please?
Yes. I think I can. It went too fast.
Okay, the whole area that's outlined in the entire blue, including the red, is that considered J. Brown's property?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all of it?
Yep.
So is it all going to be developed once the situation is cleared up? Or is it just going to be part of it developed?
Well, that's a great question, and here's why. If we pursue partial acquisition and demolition and stabilization, we'll have the blue part taken care of. But without the red part, we really don't have much of a chance to get unified redevelopment to occur until that cleanup's done, which is probably going to be on the order of 24 months. Maybe a little shorter now that they've done the offsite injections. But it's a process, the process of stabilizing the property, bringing down the buildings, physically removing the contamination, and otherwise preparing the property for what comes next.
Because the developers or whoever is going to redevelop that area, it should be the whole shopping center area, right?
We would agree that would make the most sense, is to deal with it
So
all
we
at
still
once.
don't know yet.
Yeah, correct.
We'll know more when we get the feedback from the governor, CDPHE. It's a liability question at this point.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Sam?
Thanks.
Sorry, Sherry.
When we come to the October meeting to ask the council what their preference is, are we talking about the whole thing? Are we talking about the blue? Are we talking about the red? Or
I don't know that we'll have word back from the governor's office by then. So it's a good question.
because I mean, it depends what you're going to ask the council, and the punitive damage could be a lot. So probably my recommendation for you bring it to the council, let's have some real numbers in there. Because, you know, some of us, they're not on board when the red spot is going to be part of the equation. So,
I think our ask of council is going to be to move forward with eminent domain. The question is will it be just on the blue property or on all of the property? And that will be dependent upon whether or not we have protection from the state regarding liability. And we won't know that at the next meeting. But we'll be asking for council's support on moving forward with eminent domain. And it will be either on one section or all of it.
so will be clarified that night. That's what you guys are recommending.
We won't be clarifying which segment because we won't know the answer, but we'll be asking council's support on going forward with eminent domain on whatever the answer is.
There's an entire process the council still has to be part of. That'll happen later in the year and next year as part of condemnation, so that we'll get into the numbers then. This will be a very general guidance from you on this month, saying, yes, go forth condemnation, we support that. Then the details get etched out as we get into it further on. Get feedback from the governor, those kind of things. So that will come back with specifics to council. file for petition. We don't think it'll happen until at least probably January best.
Other questions? Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
continuing to keep this in the forefront.